Sad story. We want to check back in with what that breaking news that we told you about at the top of the show. Emergency crews are on the scene of a deadly shooting on Summerwalk Circle. That's in the Finley Forest area near the Friday Center off NC 54. We check in now with WNCN's Steve Spraja, who's live at the scene. Steve, what can you tell us?
Sharon, Sean, one veteran officer telling me when he arrived on scene, it was a scene of utter chaos inside an apartment complex here on Summerwalk Circle. 3 people inside, all shot, 3 people all dead. Just a very few minutes ago, I've been able to confirm from the Chapel Hill Police Department that they now are questioning a person of interest in connection with this triple shooting, which happened here about 5:15 this afternoon. Police first arrived here on scene after receiving a call. It appears as if the entire afternoon shift or evening shift of the Chapel Hill Police Department is here. They threw every resource they had at it. They had all kinds of officers arriving on scene, all kinds of detectives. They're trying, obviously, to put the pieces together right now and figure out exactly what happened. Earlier, we talked to one neighbor who was walking his dog. He said that for the most part, this apartment complex, which consists mostly of grad students and the elderly, has been a very quiet place. He said you very seldom hear any kind of activity here, but he said in the last couple of days, one of the things that he noticed was that there had been some strange activity at night. One of the things he described was a couple of guys who were out with flashlights near an apartment complex. He spotted them when he was walking his dog. He said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" He says they jumped into their vehicle and then took off at 60 miles an hour. But again, 3 people have been shot to death here in Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill Police Department confirming for me that they have a person of interest they are questioning, and they say that nobody in this complex should be concerned for their personal safety at this point regarding this incident. Reporting live, I'm Steve Spraja, WNCN News.
Our other breaking news tonight, chaos this evening in Chapel Hill after a shooting left 3 people dead.
It happened just after 5 o'clock tonight on Summerwalk Circle. That's just off Highway 54 near the Friday Center on UNC's campus. Our Derek Waller has been following the story all night, and he's live from the neighborhood. And Derek, what do we know about a possible suspect and what may have sparked the shootings?
Yeah, we really don't know much at all right now. Police are not saying much. You can see they are still out here right now. Here's what we do know. They say they have a person of interest that's in custody and that there is no ongoing threat to the public. Still, 3 people in this neighborhood are dead. It's a neighborhood full of Chapel Hill students. And tonight, neighbors and some family members really want to just want to know what's going on.
I'm his father.
A distressed father pleads for information.
Take me to jail. You'll do whatever. I'm not staying here. I'm going to go in there and see what's going on, sir.
This scene unfolded around 8 p.m., 3 hours after police said 3 people were found shot to death inside an apartment in the Finley Forest condominium.
It's kind of just turned the neighborhood upside down.
Kristen Bowling is a UNC student who lives in the building where it happened. She was home studying and never even heard gunshots.
I'm kind of in shock. I'm really confused, and I have been since 5:30.
Alert Carolina notified the UNC Chapel Hill campus shortly after 7, telling students there was no ongoing threat. Neighbors say this quiet community is mostly home to the elderly and students, but Daniel Wagner said recently he's noticed suspicious activity.
A couple of the nights I've come home lately, there's this truck outside of my apartment actually over there that a couple of guys were walking through the neighborhood, and I was walking my dog just like I am now. And I heard him say to get a flashlight and take a look in this truck. And then I was like, "Hey guys," and they saw me with the dog and they ran off, sped off about 60 miles an hour.
Still, no one saw today's triple shooting coming, and this community is desperate for answers.
Tell me how my son is. What's his situation? If he's dead, tell me he's dead. If he's alive, tell me he's alive. Just tell me straight up.
And of course, a lot of rumors swirling about people about what happened tonight, who these victims might be, but police are confirming very little for us. One big question, of course, is why did this happen? Of course, we will stay on top of this overnight. We're live in Chapel Hill. Derek Waller, WNCN News.
This is a WNCN breaking news report.
We have breaking news at this hour. We go now live to Durham County Courthouse on 3 Muslim students killed in Chapel Hill last night.
First, to explain the...
And there you have it. We just heard from multiple law enforcement agencies. We just heard from the chief of police for Chapel Hill. We just heard from the U.S. Attorney, Ripley Rand, and we also heard from the Duke Imam speaking on behalf of the situation of 3 Muslim students killed last night in Chapel Hill.
Breaking news report.
6 weeks ago, I cried tears of joy at my baby brother's wedding. Today we are crying tears of unimaginable pain over the execution-style murders.
Family members in pain tonight, trying to come with terms of a triple murder in Chapel Hill. Good afternoon, I'm Sean Maroney.
And I'm Sharon Tazwell. A breaking story in Chapel Hill today has America reacting. 3 people, a man, his wife, and her sister murdered, found dead in their apartment. All college students and all Muslim. The victims are 23-year-old Dia Barakat, a second-year dental student at UNC, and his wife, 21-year-old Yusur Abu Salah, was scheduled to begin dental studies in the fall. And her sister, 19-year-old Razan Abu Salah, a sophomore design major at NC State.
The man accused in the shootings, 46-year-old Craig Hicks, had his first court appearance this morning. Authorities have moved him to Central Prison in Raleigh, where he's being held without bond. So far, Chapel Hill police tell us the shootings were the result of a parking dispute between neighbors. Hicks's wife just held a press conference speaking about the incident. WNCN's Justin Quisenberry was there, and he joins us live with the very latest. Good afternoon, Justin.
Good afternoon, Sean. Yeah, the suspect's wife spoke with the media alongside her attorney. The point, they say, was to emphasize that this was not about religion or anything of that nature. This was solely about the parking situation. Here's what she had to say.
We were married for 7 years, and that is one thing that I do know about him. He often champions on his Facebook page for the rights of many individuals, for same-sex marriages, abortion, race. He just believed, and I know that's just one of the things I know about him, is everyone is equal.
Her attorney tells me that the couple was still married and still lived together here at this condo. He says Mrs. Hicks was coming home last night when she was stopped by police like everyone else coming into the neighborhood. She did not know what had happened or that her husband was involved. She sent him a text message asking him if everything was okay. The attorney did not tell us what was inside the reply to that text message, just saying that it was a cryptic message back to her. We'll continue to follow this and join us back here at 6 and 7. Back to you guys.
All right, Justin Quisenberry live from the site of the shooting last night. Justin, thank you. And we've been looking into Craig Hicks, and here's what we found so far. Here he is, the 46-year-old. He was a student at Durham Tech. He was enrolled in 2012 and was working on 3 certificates in paralegal studies. School officials described him as an exemplary student with a high GPA. If you take a look at his Facebook page, you can see he was a very outspoken atheist, writing that he has, quote, a right and duty to insult religion. He also has posted a picture showing off his revolver and several posts mentioning equality for all. His page also says he is an ordained atheist minister. We spoke with one of Hicks's neighbors this morning. Here's what she had to say.
I was very surprised that we had murders, but I suspected who it might be when I heard about the news. As a neighborhood, we've had a lot of problems with him. He is angry. He's always pretty angry about something.
And continuing with this breaking news, we have just learned from the Chapel Hill police that they have called in the FBI to assist in this case. And this afternoon, Chapel Hill police released the 911 calls, revealing a little more details about the crime. Take a listen.
And I just heard gunshots. I don't know what building it came from, but I heard kids screaming.
Okay, how many shots did you hear?
Multiple. I mean, at least between 5 and 10, I would say. I heard about 8 shots go off in an apartment. I don't know the number. About 3 girls, or at least more than 1 girl screaming. And then there was nothing. And then I heard about 3 more shots go off.
All right, as Sharon mentioned, the FBI has been called in. Federal authorities would be called in if this was going to escalate into a hate crime investigation. And a lot of people are questioning if this was, in fact, a hate crime, including the victims' families.
The shooting has ignited a firestorm on social media. Some of the biggest trends, 3 Muslim and Muslim lives matter.
This morning, the Council on American Islamic Relations called for a hate crime investigation, saying, quote, based on the brutal nature of this crime, the religious attire of the 2 victims, and the rising anti-Muslim rhetoric in American society, we urge state and federal law enforcement authorities to quickly address speculation of a possible bias motive in this case. This afternoon, the U.S. Attorney's Office addressed the concerns.
that the events of yesterday are not part of a targeted campaign against Muslims in North Carolina or anything other than an individual event that occurred.
And there has been an outpouring of support on social media, too, for the families of the victims.
Today, our Bo Minnick, he was invited to the home of the father of the 2 young women shot. He joins us in the studio with the very latest. It was a difficult afternoon.
It really was, Sean and Sharon. And let me just say, their father was extremely gracious in meeting with us today. And you can only imagine the pain that he and his family are going through. And our talk with him might actually shed some more light on the events that led up to this shooting.
We're distraught, we're sad, we're heartbroken. We don't know what kind of sad days are awaiting us.
Mohammed Abu Salha tells us his children were the best kids anyone could ever have. On his daughter Razan Abu Salha, an Athens Drive high school graduate, he told us this.
She was a breeze of peace. She loved people, loved animals, loved nature.
On her older sister Yusur,
she was a die-hard wolf pack. And she was just elated to be accepted at the Energy School and at Chapel Hill.
And she had just married the 3rd victim, Dia Barakat, in December.
This was an execution style. This was a hate crime from a neighbor our children spoke about.
Abu Salha tells us his daughter and son-in-law lived in the same community as the accused murderer Craig Hicks. His youngest daughter, Razan, had gone to visit them. He says his daughter, who lived at the apartment, told him Hicks had repeatedly threatened them in recent weeks.
A couple of weeks ago, our daughter told us that this man hates us. We don't feel good about him.
Do you think they were killed because they're Muslim?
I do. I have no doubt. I have no doubt it's part of that.
And Dia Barakat, who was already at the UNC School of Dentistry, he also was a graduate of Broughton High School. Now, Mohammed Abu Salha tells us that Hicks had been upset about a parking situation again at the community, but he says it is clear to him that this was a hate crime.
And the investigation, of course, will definitely continue with the FBI also involved.
All right, Bo, thank you. And we continue now to learn more about the victims this evening and the legacy they left behind. The people who knew the victims best, calling them community leaders as well as humanitarians. Dia Barakat was 1 year away from finishing dentistry school at UNC, but his passion was for social causes and helping immigrants in this country. The same could have been said for his wife, Yusur, who was also pursuing a dentistry degree at UNC. The couple was only married 6 weeks before they were killed in their apartment, along with Yusur's sister Razan, who was visiting the couple. Those who knew them say it was a loss for the community and society as a whole.
I'm not a big supporter of the death penalty, but in this case, I think that's what he deserves. I think that he did a cold-blooded act against innocent people, and he didn't care that he was taking their lives.
A vigil for the victims is being held at UNC this evening in about an hour as a show of unity, and students from NC State, NC Central, and Duke universities have been invited.
We will bring you that live at 6 and have more on what fellow students are saying about the suspect this evening.
Yeah, in the meantime, you can continue to follow this story on WNCN.com as well as on our social media on WNCN's Facebook as well as Twitter pages. We'll return you now to the regularly scheduled programming already in progress.
Live from the Triangle, this is WNCN News at 7.
That's what my daughter believed. She said, "Dad, I think he hates us for what we are and how we look."
I just heard gunshots. I don't know what building it came from, but I heard kids screaming.
When officers arrived, they did locate 3 subjects who had been shot. All 3 were pronounced dead at the scene.
It's a big loss. He's basically eliminated just not their past, but the future.
I would like to know why, exactly why.
Right now at 7, a community in mourning after 3 Muslim college students were shot and killed in Chapel Hill. Here is a live look at the pit on UNC's campus where students and others in the community are holding a vigil. Good evening. I'm Sean Maroney.
And I'm Sharon Tazwell. It happened last night at the Finley Forest condominiums near the Friday Center, just a few miles from the UNC campus. The victims are 23-year-old Dia Barakat, his wife, 21-year-old Yusur Abu Salha, her sister, 19-year-old Razan Abu Salha.
Yeah, the man accused in her death, 46-year-old Craig Hicks, is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Police say the shootings happened over a parking dispute, but the family of the victims say it was a hate crime. Tonight, we have team coverage of the investigation and how the community is reacting.
Our crews are live in Chapel Hill, but first we check in with WNCN's Bo Minnick, who sat down with the father of one of the victims. He joins us in the studio. Bo.
Sharon, as you can imagine, their father has a long list of emotions tonight. He said he's distraught, he's heartbroken, he's angry, and he also has strong beliefs of what he thinks this is, and he's calling it a hate crime.
I'm doing this just to speak about my children and tell the world about them and to honor their souls. I'm doing this for them.
There's no mistaking a father's grief when he loses a child. With 2 children lost, the pain is that much worse. And with 2 children lost under these circumstances,
I don't even know what to think yet. I don't even know what kind of sadness awaits me.
the 3 victims in the Chapel Hill shooting are all related to Mohammed Abu Salha, 2 daughters and a son-in-law. His youngest daughter, Razan Abu Salha, studied architecture at NC State.
She was very peaceful. She would not even allow any of us to talk about somebody who was not present in the room.
His other daughter, Yusser Abu Salha, married the 3rd victim, Dia Baraket, in December. She was going to join him at the UNC Dentistry School.
These 3 children are very loved by this community. A lot of hearts are broken.
Abu Salha tells us his daughter, Yusser, and her husband live near the accused killer, Craig Hicks.
This was an execution style. This was a hate crime from a neighbor our children spoke about.
He says his daughter, Yusser, told him Hicks had repeatedly threatened them in recent weeks over parking. But he says there was more here than just parking problems.
It's what my daughter believed. She said, "Dad, I think he hates us for what we are and how we look."
Do you think they were killed because they're Muslim?
I do. I have no doubt. I have no doubt it's part of that.
And the 3 students all plan to go to Turkey this summer to help Syrian refugees at a dental clinic. Abu Salha tells us that his daughters also told him that at times they felt uncomfortable about how they may have been seen in the community following all the recent terrorist attacks that have been happening abroad. Sharon?
Bo, thank you. And the sister of 23-year-old Dia Barakat spoke about what happened today. She called on police to investigate the murders as a hate crime. She said Barakat and his wife were gems in their community that left a lasting impression on the people around them.
6 weeks ago, I cried tears of joy at my baby brother's wedding. Today we are crying tears of unimaginable pain.
A vigil for the victims is taking place right now on UNC's campus.
Our Steve Spraja is live. And Steve, you spoke with someone who actually taught 2 of the victims in high school.
That's right, Sean and Sharon. Take a look behind me right now, though. What you can see are thousands and thousands of people who have jammed into the pit here at UNC for this vigil to honor the lives of the 3 victims who were killed yesterday in Chapel Hill. Among those who are here are family members. Now, earlier today, the lives of 2 sisters were also remembered. Yusa and Razan Mohammed, remembered at Athens Drive High School, a school they attended several years ago.
These were 2 girls that had their whole futures ahead of them. They had so much to look forward to, and it's been taken away.
Trish Hornick taught both Yusor and Razan on and off through the years when the sisters attended Athens Drive High. Yusor, who went by Sue in those days, was there first as the older sister.
She was president of half the clubs at Athens Drive High School. I know she won a lot of awards for FCCLA, and she was president, I believe, of the Muslim Student Association.
Yusor also worked on the school newspaper, an activity enjoyed by her younger sister Razan when she arrived at the school.
I remember stopping her outside the library and asked her to be editor-in-chief, and she was like, "Really? Me? Are you kidding?" And she came back at the end of the year and told me that she was so glad that I'd stopped her that day and asked her to do it because she got all this confidence and faith in herself that she didn't know that she had.
Facebook photos show the sisters together in many photographs, and their former teacher says that's the way they were in high school, always close friends and kids with great attitudes.
They were wonderful, they were respectful and humble and kind and never had a bad word for anyone. While they were so strong in their faith, they were very respectful of everyone else's faith as well.
News of their murders has devastated Trish and the staff at the school.
It's been a really hard day here at Athens. We've just met together today and talked about what was going on and given hugs.
Broken hearts at Athens Drive High. Lots of broken hearts here at the pit at UNC right now. A lot of folks still trying to digest exactly what happened. As you walk through the crowd, you overhear people talking about what happened. They say they just can't believe that this occurred, and occurred here in Chapel Hill. They're all still trying to understand why. We may not know why right now, but we do know that right now there's a lot of support out here for the family. Reporting live, I'm Steve Spracia, WNCN News.
Steve, the emotions and the people gathered there obviously speak to those students' legacy. Steve, thank you for that beautiful look. We're also learning more tonight about the man accused of the shooting.
Craig Stephen Hicks has now been moved to Central Prison in Raleigh. WNCN investigates Jonathan Rodriguez is live at the prison, and he's been digging into Hicks's past and joins us with more. Jonathan.
Sharon, good evening. Craig Hicks will spend the rest of his days, at least for now, here at Central Prison, facing 3 counts of first-degree murder. Now, all throughout the day, people have been on social media trying to get some more insight into who is Craig Hicks. We've done our own digging, including talking to the people who knew him, who say they never saw this coming.
I would have never expected this.
His wife held back tears while describing her husband, who sat quietly in court.
I think everybody is a little bit on edge just knowing that something like that could have happened here.
The 46-year-old was a student at Durham Tech, working on 3 certificates in paralegal studies. Some of his classmates say he mostly kept to himself.
He acted different with the teachers, but when it came to interacting with a classmate or anything like that, he was very distant.
But his instructors paint a very different picture, saying Hicks, although very opinionated, was an exemplary student with great grades and always willing to help others.
I would have never thought that somebody that I've been in the computer lab with or sat beside before could be capable of doing anything like that.
On his Facebook page, Hicks portrayed himself as a very outspoken atheist. His posts cover everything from condemning religion to showing off his revolver, but also supporting equal rights. The victim's family members are questioning whether the shooting was a hate crime. His wife says there's no way.
That's just one of the things I know about him is everyone is equal. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you look like or who you are or what you believe.
She maintains the shooting was over an ongoing battle over parking, which still doesn't set well with fellow students.
I can say with my absolute belief that this incident had nothing to do with religion or victim's faith.
He could have flipped out like that here at school over just a parking spot, so that was just ridiculous to me.
Again, I sat down with one of Hicks' instructors at Durham Tech. She said he was in class just hours before the shooting and seemed normal and fine at that moment. Again, Chapel Hill PD at this point believe it was, in fact, a dispute over parking, but they say they're not going to leave anything unturned. They will at least investigate it as a hate crime. The chief calling it a senseless and tragic crime. We're live in Raleigh. Jonathan Rodriguez, WNCN News.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. And the Triangle Free Thought Society released this statement today, quote, "Our organization denounces violence towards anyone, regardless of what beliefs are held by victim or perpetrator. We are deeply disturbed that this individual self-identifies as an atheist."
And people living in the apartment complex where the shooting happened say they've also had run-ins with Hicks in the past. We check it now with WNCN's Justin Quisenberry, who's live from the scene at Chapel Hill. Good evening, Justin.
Good evening, Sean. You heard Jonathan mention just a few moments ago that this is likely stemmed from a parking dispute, according to police and the suspect's wife, and that would have happened right here in this parking lot. We want to show you some video now of a memorial that's building here at this same location where those 3 lives were lost today, people paying tribute to those 3 people. Today, one man told us he believes he met one of the victims a couple of weeks ago when she asked how the parking worked at this complex. Another neighbor described the suspect as angry with people all the time, frequently complaining about parking and noise.
I was very surprised that we had murders, but I suspected who it might be when I heard about the news. As a neighborhood, we've had a lot of problems with him. He is angry. He's always pretty angry about something.
And that neighbor told us today that she and others out here at this complex were frequently scared and intimidated by the suspect. Live in Chapel Hill, Justin Quisenberry, WNCN News.
All right, Justin, thank you for that deeper insight. The local Muslim community is also reacting to the news.
WNCN's Eileen Park spent the day talking to people who knew the victims. She joins us now in the studio. Eileen.
Well, Sharon and Sean, heartbroken is the word I've been hearing over and over again today. I spent the day at a mosque in Cary where Muslim Americans expressed their sadness. Now, although authorities say at this point they don't have enough information to call this a hate crime, the Muslims I spoke with say it is.
I'm very, very sad because these are three very innocent people, and they were very great volunteers in the society, not just Muslim, but all the society.
My children knew them, my friends' children knew them. So yesterday night when we heard, the women who knew them personally because they come to their house and hang around, they were all crying.
I'm sad because 3 Muslims got killed for no reason.
So right now, Muslim leaders are gathering and planning what they need to do to address what they believe was a hate crime, and also how to get the entire community and maybe even the nation to start talking about prejudices against Muslim Americans. Sean.
All right, Eileen, thank you. And we want to give you another live look out of UNC, where students are gathering for a candlelit vigil right now. Coming up, how the university is reacting to this tragedy.
Acts like this go against all of our beliefs as human, our beliefs as educators.
Welcome back to WNCN News at 7. Tonight, the UNC community is mourning following the shooting deaths of 3 Muslim students in Chapel Hill.
There's been an outpouring of support from all around the world. WNCN's Derek Waller joins us live from the UNC campus. Derek.
Hey, good evening, guys. As we showed you a few minutes ago, an amazing show of support here at the UNC Chapel Hill campus. Thousands of people out here showing support for those victims in yesterday's shootings. Also, a similar sentiment a little while ago. There was a press conference where the 3 chancellors from the major triangle universities within the UNC system coming together to show their support from UNC, NCCU, and NC State, talking about need to come together moving forward and for the need for a diverse student population so people understand differences of different cultures. Here's what Chancellor Carol Folt with UNC had to say a little while ago.
Just to have learned about what they love and hear from their friends and their family about them has actually been quite uplifting. These were students who wanted nothing more than to change the world, who basically thought the most important thing in life was helping people that were less fortunate than they were.
The best thing we can do, and what we are doing, is come together as a community and support those that have entrusted their lives to us as we work hard to educate and to prepare these young people for their lives ahead.
And that vigil continues behind me right now. Those chancellors from the universities are actually sitting there watching that as we speak. And I should tell you that there's another one scheduled for tomorrow in Raleigh at NC State. So this will continue. We are live in Chapel Hill. Derek Waller, WNCN News.
Fascinating how many people come together to take a stand. Derek Waller, live at UNC. Thank you.
All right, so Derek is showing us how people are coming together here. Well, these murders are drawing condemnation from around the world, many taking to Twitter to express their feelings using the hashtag Muslim Lives Matter. One person posted a picture of the victim's wedding day with the message, "Remember them like this. Dia and Yusur had names, dreams, and families." Another posted, "May Allah rest their souls in peace and reward them in the highest levels of paradise." And another with this simple message, "Every life matters."
And Dia Barakat was just 1 year away from finishing dentistry school at UNC. He had hopes of helping Syrian refugees in Turkey. He posted this urgent plea to the website youcaring.com.
My name is Dia Barakat. I'm a dental student at UNC, and I need your help. Have you ever felt helpless about the situation in Syria and felt like you can't do anything about it? Well, this is your opportunity to help. This summer, I'm embarking on a trip to Turkey with 10 dentists to help Syrian refugee students in need of urgent dental care.
Last night, the site had raised $17,000, and today that shot up to over $107,000, far exceeding Barakat's goal of $20,000. If you want to donate, we have put a link to the site on our website, WNCN.com.